Skarzig was nice enough to inform me that Pinpingho actually did win the SEA seasonal, so that was another pretty good achievement, if I do say so myself.
Chat was nice enough to inform me about
that.
Because I was like, this name rings a bell. My grandpa brain couldn't quite remember the tournament standings of everybody, but here it is. Pinpingho versus SonikHolik getting started off, leading off with TLC into Scouts.
Yeah, and not for nothing, but this is typically, I mean, historically, not just TLC and Scouts, but late game control decks versus Scouts. There's a pretty solidified window of time where Scouts can just pull out a victory, you know, with some multiple rallies or attacks and whatnot. Especially since the adaptation of Ranger's Resolve when that card was released, which we can actually see in hand right now. It's looking like Sonic, considering keeping that, it's one of the best cards against something like Avalanche, which we'll probably see here in a second. So definitely good on him keeping that.
And Pinpingho coming up a little short. One Avalanche is nice. You want to hopefully get multiple Avalanche, something like Ice Shard, maybe Blighted Ravine, to try to clear here. Already 2 damage done in. It was told that SonikHolik was specifically targeting TLC with this matchup and has tons of rallies in the deck to double down on this early game, and a Stony Suppressor in the hand. Making a 5-mana Avalanche feels awful. It is just barely a good card at 4 in a specific matchup, but at 5, that's going to put you so far behind. Pay 1 mana for your fading memories.
Yeah. Well, more importantly, Skarzig, that's going to make Ruination 10 mana. And we already see it in hand at the very beginning of the game. That 9 mana, once turn 6 hits, that's when we start having that mind game back and forth of like, can I develop this turn? Should I wait to develop? Do I open attack because of Ruination? What can I do? And having it have to wait now until theoretically turn 7, that's a big deal. That messes up a lot of different kind of mana breakpoints that Pinpingho relies on early on in these games.
But despite everything, SonikHolik doesn't have that curve and threat that we saw in their previous set versus Nash. The No Misfortune right now, we have Stony Suppressor, Grizzled Ranger, which is a nice effect, but just going to go for a low commitment play here for the Valor. Still pushes through a lot of damage if there is no answer.
Yeah, Lysandra early as well, and we actually had this discussion yesterday, Skarzig, right? Like, is this one of those situations where you can play it down? We actually saw Pinpingho not place it there. It would have been a decent jump blocker, but could we just not risk that right now with something like a Sharp Sight coming down?
I think that was the reason. You want to avoid that risk. I mean, you're getting a Thrall in play, but your key thing is not even worrying about the Watcher win condition. It's about pure survival. Run the Scouts out of resources if you can, and then survive from there.
Yeah, and yeah, we're gonna get the additional attack now playing the Lysandra. So I guess now we're at a point where it's like, all right, I don't think we can afford to take more. Yeah, so it just is what it is at this point. We're gonna have to lose the Lysandra, and so I don't.
Or
go ahead.
What if you just Sharp Sight the other one and push through a little bit more damage?
That's definitely a consideration, but it does look like we are going to take the trade, because what the Sharp Sight also does is it doesn't just kill the Lysandra, but it also trades positively, so we keep the bird. So that's going to feel really, really good. And honestly, I that's why I don't hate throwing down the Lysandra, because you're not winning this game. Like, you don't need to worry about not if you're surviving turn 8 and 9, then you've won the game at that point. Generally speaking, you're gonna have an okay time dealing with whatever Sonic does pull out, so you can stall for another Lysandra. It's the early game, it's getting to turns 8 and 9 that's the problem. And right now, honestly, if we do see the Stony Suppressor come down, that's gonna be really difficult for Pinpingho to do.
I don't think I've ever seen more threatening birds.
Yeah, right? They're doing work, man.
They've put in so much work already, like 14. You're already starting to lose your safety net. There really hasn't been a good time. Like, now we've got the open attack with the Grizzled Ranger, with the Scout, cashing in the Valor here to push this damage through. Having a unit that, when it dies, leaves a unit behind is so powerful against the AoE from Freljord Shadow Isles. And again, Pinpingho coming up short. There's only one AoE.
Yeah, and it feels like a terrible spot to play it too. I mean, you're going to kill the board and just have a 3/4 pop out, and then that leads to a Quinn probably coming down for Sonic. And I
Mm-hmm.
mean,
You can play Trundle. He gets pulled to the side by the Fleet Feather
yeah.
Tracker. You take 3 more damage.
Well, yeah, and if Trundle comes down, I imagine we see Quinn still, and that means what is that? What is that? What's Quinn's attack again? I barely ever see this card.
She has 3 attack.
3 attack, yeah. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 8 damage. This is gonna put probably Pinpingho down to 3 life after this attack if Quinn comes down. We could even get. Oh wait, is this game with Brightsteel and Relentless? If we go that route. We could Brightsteel the Fleet Feather Tracker, pull Trundle, push for 6 damage. Then we could go ahead and Relentless, and then pull it again and push for another 6 damage.
With only 3 mana open, Pinpingho only has maybe Ice Shard as a response, but you're still hitting your own Nexus, which is kind of what you want them to do anyway. And with the rallying, you still maintain the Badger Bear.
Wow! This is
SonikHolik sees the line.
Oh man! No, this is This is happening. This is a turn 5 lethal. This is a turn 5 lethal. Oh my god!
Just coming up with only 1 avalanche is just actually absurd. An Ice Shard to stop those birds from putting in that early work. A Vile Feast or something, but everything comes together for SonikHolik here.
Oh my god, and there it is. There is the relentless pursuit for the doubled up attack. And Pinpingho probably looking at his hand like, what just happened? There is nothing I can do about this. And SonikHolik taking a real quick game 1 there with the Scouts. Wow, Scout. Man, we've been talking about this. Skarsgård Scouts are on fire right now.
That when you find the matchups that you want, they perform so well against any other deck that can wall them out in the early mid game to keep them from getting that advantage. It really struggles to come together, but against something that doesn't develop a lot in the early mid game, severely punishing. The only line of play I maybe saw right there at the end was maybe to Fading Memories, the opponent's Grizzled Ranger, to try to get a cheaper 2-tone blocker in play, maybe combined with an Avalanche to wipe the Fleet Feather. The Fleet Feather and the Valor pulling what little blockers that were developed to the side was just massive. Pinpingho now trying to pick up a win with Nasus Thresh into Lee Sin. We saw this earlier. Lee Sin, one of the only decks that truly seems to make this list look weak.
Yeah, so I just want to take a look at what they banned then. So that means with Lee Sin up, the Overwhelmed deck was banned, actually, interestingly enough. And then, I mean, just banning the Overwhelmed deck, the way this is panned out here, this seems like a really good just matchup. Like, whatever Sonic did. So Sonic actually banned the Tom Raka. So on the side of Pinpingho, we had Tom Raka, TLC, and Nasus Thresh. We banned the Tom Raka, and these bans worked out really good for SonikHolik because now this is this is 2 really good favorited matchups for SonikHolik.
Yeah, I think that SonikHolik's lineup just goes to show that you're just overly targeting, like, not only TLC, but the other deck that a lot of people are going to bring, thanks to Scouts, thanks to this Lee Sin deck. And because Pinpingho isn't running, like a Demacia Targon variant that's maybe trying to out-sustain or live through or maybe give problems to a Scout deck, the severe weakness here is definitely being showcased in the finals. But just because matchups look bad on paper, we saw it earlier, if your opponent doesn't get the right cards at the right time or draw the key tools they need for the matchup, you can still get out ahead of them. So here it is. Cursekeeper, Ravenous Butcher on turn 2 just to swing through and start pushing through that damage immediately.
Yeah, wow. This is already a pretty aggressive start here for Pinpingho. We do have the Guiding Touch, and actually, more importantly, we already got 2 Sparkle Flies in hand, right? So those are probably going to be a big deal as well, as far as not only just healing up, but if we do get something to pillar on those Sparkle Flies, that could pose a pretty big problem for Pinpingho, just not being able to get them off the board. If we're able to, buff them up with a Zenith Blade, if we get one of those pretty soon, or something similar. It does look like we are going to at least get 1 Sparkle Fly down this turn and start getting some of that lifesteal into play here.
we did see previously where a Nightfall list just cycled the flight repeatedly, and that elusive chip damage just added up against Nasus Thresh. And so there is potential here, you know, Sparklefly with Mentor of the Stones, etc. The only way that this list can remove these efficiently is going to be with Thresh, is going to be with Blighted Caretaker. And those aren't always guaranteed depending on what tools you have in hand. And just offsetting the damage is really all you need without doing that early work to set you down to 10, 12 HP. You know, the Atrocity is no longer a threat. And that's not even talking about the Deny that's already in hand, already waiting to cancel one of those out. Pinpingho, we talked about it earlier, only running 2 copies.
Yeah, only 2 copies, and I mean, Sonic just has so many answers to those 2 copies, like you mentioned already, that Deny in hand. You know, it's so interesting too, because right now Pinpingho has a wide board. Like, this is the aggressive start that we're used to seeing. We could even throw down Dunekeeper here if we want, which honestly, you know, we really don't have another good play otherwise, so we might as well at this point just try to swing for as much damage as possible. We also do have Thresh on the follow-up attack turn to go ahead and pick off one of these Sparkleflies. So things seem to be going pretty well for Pinpingho with this Thresh deck. And that, you know, if Pinpingho is able to pick off a win here versus Lee Sin, that's going to be pretty good, I think. You know, then we would have a TLC Lee Sin matchup, and that's going to be a lot harder for the Lee Sin deck to pick up a win. So SonikHolik going to be a little bit worried here with what's happening on board.
Yeah, you have the trade into the 3-1 at the very least. You're only healing for 1 at that point. The Bakai Reaper is starting to scale up. You have a second Sparklefly in hand, but again, we talked about how strong it can be in this matchup, but it needs the other tools to come through. At this point, no other targets in hand. Maybe the Zenith Blade goes on the Sparklefly, and you just try to stack this thing up as heavy as you can.
I think, I was just going to say, I think we actually take all this damage, and then we're going to pillar on the Sparklefly. That's exactly what Sonic's going to do. The only thing you have to worry about at this point is a Black Spear, which actually perfectly deals with the Sparklefly, which would feel really bad. But I do feel like, especially with this other Zenith Blade, we might just open up, or we might even just play it here, to be honest with you. We might open up next turn with another Zenith Blade, get it outside of Black Spear range, get it outside of basically everything at that point. Even a Thresh is going to have trouble dealing with it. There's the Black Spear off the top, so we do need to get the Zenith Blade down if we want to ensure that the Sparklefly lives.
Yeah, there needs to be an enabler for the Black Spear at the very least. Attacking with just an elusive unit will be nice. Despite the Sparklefly getting pretty tanky here, it is still only offsetting 2 damage every offensive turn because you aren't necessarily wanting to block with it. So it's not like Eye of the Dragons and the Dragonlings where you're getting the 2 lifesteal on attack and defense. So Sparklefly needs to get a lot bigger here, a lot faster in order to keep up with this onslaught. I could definitely see the second Zenith Blade being daybreaked here, so that way you guaranteed get the third one out of the deck for your Lee Sin if he ever makes his appearance, and then maybe a gem.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think we might just go all out. Listen, when you pillar on a Sparklefly, in my experience with this deck, if you got a Mountain Goat or a Sparklefly early, and you play, or even a Zoe for that matter, and you're playing Zenith Blade on one of those 3 cards, everything else in your hand is going on that card. It's like, that's your unit, you're sticking to it, that's what you're going to protect, that's what this Deny is going to protect, and we're actually going to get a challenge with the Sonic Wave plus the Resonating Strike. So this I actually like as well. This is going to remove the Bakai Reaper before things get out of hand here. Unfortunately, this 100% does not play around Black Spear, and I would have much rather seen this after the Zenith Blade got played. So I'm a little bit concerned here for Sonic.
Yeah, it's a bit tricky too, because like you're worried now. Pinpingho is worried to go for the Black Spear here because maybe you deny that. But now with Thresh coming down, you have multiple ways to answer this Sparklefly or pull it to the side, and that's really all you care about. Even if your opponent has 1 lifesteal unit in play, if you answer it efficiently enough, or you get enough of a board advantage to fight around the sides, everything is still going in your favor. SonikHolik now casting the gem.
I don't like the way... like the order that Sonic went about these spells, like we have the deny, which okay, great, but just the order that we did this seems so off. Like you missed out on one heal. You missed out on more heal if you played the Zenith Blade, because you did not need to use that deny on the Black Spear. I would have much rather just been out of Black Spear range and saved the deny for like my break glass in case of emergency for something else.
Yeah.
So that just feels like there's a lot of wasted resources there on the side of Sonic.
I think for sure if you go for Zenith Blade there with a Daybreak to grab the third one guaranteed, then when Lee Sin comes down, you have it already prepped, and then you're just putting even more HP on the Sparklefly.
Oh wow, and there's another spear off the top. I gotta. That's rough. See, and now we have to play Zenith Blade. Like we cannot lose to another spear coming off the top. It's still gonna be hard, even if we do get this Sparklefly outside of range of Zenith Blade, and we do have another Sparklefly as well. So like, it's not over, but it's going to be an uphill battle for Sonic right now. And listen, there's another thing to consider when playing this Daybroken Zenith Blade that we're finally playing here on the side of Sonic. It is not like you're thinning the deck too. Like theoretically, I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but you're one card closer to actually drawing Lee Sin. And at the end of the day, that is what you need to do to win the game, right? So it's still going to be hard. This is still going to be a unit going down here in this Sand Soldier, plus 3 damage on Thresh. We are still going to lose this possibly to the Black Spear. Actually, we have the Guiding Touch, so that would put it out of range. So we barely hold on to this Sparklefly.
And it's just a matter of trying to heal, right? You're down to 9. Thresh is slowly... And, like, you don't even need a level Thresh. Just having the Challenger unit and just punching through is really all you need. The lower you get, the higher the chance that anything that sticks becomes an atrocity target. But SonikHolik, not out of this one yet. Despite everything, can still Guiding Touch the Nexus, can still Guiding Touch the Sparklefly to get out of range of a second Black Spear. And then an open attack next round, you heal for 4. Maybe even with a Pale Cascade off the top to get a little bit more healing and card draw on top of that. Mentor of the Stone, still nowhere to be found. That stacking onto the Sparklefly would also be an immense amount of healing.
Yep. And I don't know what Sonic is thinking about here. I think you always just pass over and keep the spell mana. And yeah, there's the Black Spear immediately. This is almost certainly going to get the Guiding Touch in response. And this is going to feel really good. The problem is going to be the Thresh. Ooh, there's Mentor. There's the Mentor you're talking about, though. So here we go. I mean, we're starting to draw some tools to slowly get back into this. I will say, if we lead with Mentor here, it's going to feel so bad. This Withering Wail is gonna absolutely rip apart this game, because there's no way to protect anything from Withering Wail. Sonic, are you going to play this Mentor of the Stones first? Please don't do it. Don't do it, man.
I mean, what do? You go for Deep Meditation to look for another Guiding Touch or Pale Cascade to survive a ping. You're also worried about Vile Feast as well. There's no Nopify. Nopify or a Deny would also help. But you're using all of your resources just to not win the game. You're using it to save the side condition that's keeping you in the game while you're trying to buy time for your real win condition to show up.
Yeah, and listen, I talked about this earlier, and it feels like such a, like, duh moment, but Lee Sin, this deck wins when you draw Lee Sin. This deck does not win when you do not draw Lee Sin. Like, it sometimes is just that easy, and that is exactly what we're seeing here. I see a lot of people in chat, too, Random and Morph going back and forth, talking about all these different draw cards. I mean, that's what it comes down to with this deck. It's like, how much draw can we stuff into this deck just to make sure that somehow we're drawing Lee Sin by turn 5, maybe turn 6 or 7 at the latest. Right now we're on 7, still no sign of Lee Sin, and instead we're just going to get blown out by a Withering Wail, and I think this is going to be game for a Pinpingho.
So, there's the hit. We still have a Hail Mary with the Deep Meditation. 2 mana left over, getting a Pale Cascade or a Guiding Touch to save the Sparklefly here. Even if the Mentor of the Stones goes down, you still get those gems, and that just translates to extra healing.
Yeah, and you have to, right? There's actually, oh no, wow, actually just not gonna. I guess there's a world where maybe Eye of the Dragon saves this for you, and you do have another Sparklefly to throw down. So maybe we're still in this, maybe, but this is a Nasus coming down next turn.
If you spend all of your mana there trying to save that stacked up Sparklefly, there's a chance you just get blown out by Vile Feast or something regardless.
Yeah. So this feels like the right decision here on the side of Sonic. We're going to heal up a little bit more, barely. And I do think we'll live next turn. The problem now is, though, that yet again, our Sparklefly is under threat of being killed by Thresh. And Thresh is just doing a great job here. I mean, this is what Thresh likes to do. He likes to pick off back row units. That's exactly what Eye of the Dragon and Sparklefly are. You can only pick off one next turn. I'm actually curious to see if he goes for the Eye of the Dragon or the Sparklefly.
You can actually, yeah, if you play Nasus here, you could potentially pull the Sparklefly and then nothing can block the Nasus. The lack of fearsome blockers is a weakness of Lee Sin decks that, you know, doesn't really get exploited too often right now. The only other deck that maybe tries is Spider Aggro.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Atrocity already in hand too. So, I mean, it's looking like Pinpingho does have this game. But it's, I mean, listen, this Lee Sin deck doing a really good job of hanging on. I mean, I will give Lee Sin credit where credit is due. I know I kind of meme on like, oh, hey, look, they didn't draw Lee Sin. They didn't win the game. But that is what this deck is set up to do, is to stall until Lee Sin finally comes off the top. And, you know, every draw you don't get him, it feels really bad, which I'm sure Sonic's going through right now in his head. But it will eventually come up, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
The true skill of playing a Lee Sin deck is how well can you pilot the deck without Lee Sin.
Mm-hmm. No, that's accurate. That's actually a really true statement, Skarsgård. I do. It's funny that this deck is indicative of not getting your win condition. That's really what you need to learn with this deck, because anybody can buff Lee Sin and win the game. Like, that's the easy part, right? Or anybody can Atro and Nasus and win the game, right? But it's what you do leading up to that counts.
And so 6/6 Nasus getting buffed up as well by the blockers that are going up the line. So 8 damage being pushed through here. That deny was cashed in very early. Pinpingho is going to play this very cautiously, however, not just going to let the atrocity rip, I imagine, when you already have such a strong board state presented to you.
Yeah, do we go in with everything here? We block. I mean, we never have lethal represented. So I guess the question is, are we just going in with Nasus and Thresh to pull the Sparklefly, kill it, and then go in for 6 damage with the Thresh basically for free? Or do we want to... Actually, no. Now, due to the gem on the Eye of the Dragon, Thresh actually doesn't trade positively with Eye of the Dragon. It looks like we are just going to try to push as much damage and actually level the Thresh to really guarantee that we get a leveled up Nasus a little bit later. Wow.
Yeah, I do like that play. Again, the Nasus isn't a real win condition in this matchup because of Deny, because of Hush. And so it's just a matter of trying to win. Again, this is the battle of both decks being stripped away, being unable to use their real win conditions and trying to make something happen with the rest of the deck.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We live at 3 here, thanks to the lifesteal. I don't think there is no risk of dying to anything else. We're actually... Oh, okay. We're going to Hush block. This is an amazing trade for SonikHolik. This is actually a really big swing for Sonic, and actually just shows you how important it was for Pinpingho to actually hold back that Thresh here, losing out to something like this with this Nasus.
So the trades do go through here. And that's the final soul for Thresh. So this is going to bring another Nasus out to play in a couple rounds. And this is going to force SonikHolik, you know, do you have the second Hush? We see it in hand here, but Pinpingho, this is how it happens. You have to keep asking that question, keep presenting that threat, and run this Lee Sin deck out of resources.
Still no Lee Sin. Still nothing. I do think we definitely have to play deep med here, and I think that Maybe even play the Guiding Touch just so that we can get 2 spells. So we can get these Dragonlings off of 2 of Eye of the Dragons next turn. And we thin our deck by 3 cards, which is actually a really big deal heading into yet another turn where we still don't have Lee Sin. So
things were looking pretty rough there, but Pinpingho's hand is very slim. No glimpse, no Spirit Leech found yet. And SonikHolik, despite not drawing Lee Sin, has drawn everything else needed in order to survive. At 9 HP here and more healing about to happen. Guiding Touch to shore up the Eye of the Dragon, relying fully on the lifesteal.
Zoe's pretty big as well. What I will say, Pinpingho can't do anything, but if this Thresh is able to go ahead and attack, which I do think it is going to be able to do here, that means we're going to have Nasus on field, we're going to have Atrocity in hand, and we're going to have a Rite of Negation to negate the deny that we currently see in Sonic's hand. So if Sonic gets too low, or if Nasus gets too big, Pinpingho does kind of have the combo of combos here to ensure that this Atrocity does go off at some point.
I think too now with the Sparklefly in play, maybe you don't even attack with the Nasus to force the Hush where it goes down. You just keep it alive in the backline to strangle SonikHolik's mana. They always have to keep the 3, you know what I mean? Where they always have to keep the 3 mana open for Hush if they have it, rather than attacking, cashing in your potential win condition and forcing them to have the Hush. It really depends, I think, on how many challenger units you can get alongside this upcoming swing. Like, if there's a Blighted Caretaker, you can pull enough cards to maybe protect the Nasus, because he comes into play no matter what.
Yeah, the problem, I mean, we talked about this earlier, too, when we brought up, I think we saw this matchup earlier in the top 8, I think, in the quarterfinals. And the problem is, because of Hush, this deck, Lee Sin literally just prevents Nasus from leveling. So it's never going... it's never going to get the spell shield to actually prevent a Hush from killing it on certain turns. And not only that, Rite of Negation can't prevent Hush. So it just always is going to work. And there's no additional buffs on top of, you know, just the Nasus buffing himself. That we don't play any cards like that in this deck that are actually going to allow us to keep the Nasus. We could Atrocity right now onto the Eye of the Dragon. Yeah, and that's actually what Pinpingho is thinking about doing.
You have to use the Thresh, I think, to play around Pale Cascade.
Oh boy, this is. Oh,
you have to sacrifice the Thresh.
Yeah.
The Sparklefly will live, but you play around Pale Cascade.
And I think you're okay with playing around Pale Cascade. The problem is we have a deny, so that's that's the real issue here. Oh my! Who would have thought too? It's like. You're not even denying. If that happens, we're not denying the Atrocity because we're going to lose to it. We're literally denying the Atrocity. We're still being able to deny the Atrocity. It's not even presenting lethal. Oh, we're even doing it on this. Oh, that's...
Listen, how many copies of Hush are in SonikHolik's stack?
Oh, that's a good question. Hold on. Let's see.
Because if he's only running 2, which seems weird, then, you know, haha, if I can get the second... There's only 2 copies.
There's only 2.
Yeah, so you... Oh, no!
That was the last Hush.
So then Atrocity on the Thresh to guarantee that Nasus survives. Second Hush is out of the way, and then you're all in on...
He needs another Atro.
He got the second Pale. Oh, I didn't see that. He got second Pale off of the draw.
We might even win without Lee Sin. We might even win. We might even be able to win with Dragonlings at this point. Like, this is...
Yeah,
this
no
is insane.
Draw came out of the deck. We had the curve, the early aggression into the Thresh leveling up, getting a Nasus, getting a second Nasus.
Wow.
And Pinpingho has nothing to show for it.
And now we're just, I think this is where Sonic just starts to run away with this game. Man, Skarsig, remember the first few turns we're like, Sonic is screwed. Sonic is not winning this game. This is terrible. Like, this is not going to happen. And somehow Sonic scrapes and claws their way back. And now we're staring down a field of only 3 units with a sole Rite of Negation in hand from Pinpingho. That's not a hand you want to see when you're playing Thresh Nasus. This is very, very bad right now.
This is a deck that, like so many, very powerful decks in a metagame has their explosive sequences that they want to do turn 1, 2, 3, 4, and sometimes runs out of gas. Like, you have card draw in the deck, but it's all at the bottom. The Glimpse, the Spirit Leeches.
Yep.
Pinpingho has been forsaken. Zoe's going to get boosted up to be a 4/3. All this elusive damage and all this lifesteal, it's all starting to stack up.
We even have a Vile Feast blown out on Zoe by a Pale Cascade, just to really kick the horse while it's down. And then to top it all off, we just finally top-decked, see what I did there? A Lee Sin to finally take home the game. So we're not actually going to end it with Dragon Leagues, but we will finally, it looks like, get the Lee Sin combo off next turn. And not only Lee Sin, like, we literally have the combo in hand. Like, this is, when this deck was made, this is the 10-card hand that people were expecting to get in a perfect scenario, and we got it. Like, this is great.
we saw it in SonikHolik's previous set as well, where he had the greatest hits of one Deny, a Bastion, a Guiding Touch, a Zenith Blade, got a Moon Silver. It was glorious to see. And now all of this damage that has been done throughout the mid game leading to this point means that it doesn't matter if I don't have tons of buffs for Lee Sin. He's already leveled, and I only need to put a few gems on him, and that's going to be lethal. Third Zenith Blade, patiently waiting in the hand.
This goes to show you the power of Lee Sin. I mean, I've seen plenty of times Lee Sin decks get taken down just because they don't draw Lee Sin. But I have also seen plenty of times where they are able to scrape out enough lifesteal cards to take home the game and draw Lee Sin. And SonikHolik, you are our Game 2 winner, and that means you are our OLS 24 champion, baby. Let's go.